Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today's the 3rd of September 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's afternoon session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, some of them that we looked at this morning, a few new ones as well. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, but specifically our JFD research page, which you can also check out, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So, but for now, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the German DAX. So we're having a relatively quiet start of the week, let's put it that way. Looking at this 4-hour chart, you can see that yes, the index continues to trade above this breakout point near the 11,865.60 zone. The index kind of managed to push higher, but it's still currently getting held by this 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart. Now, a while ago, or to be more specific, last week I talked about DAX as well, and basically what I was saying that if we see a break above this upside, well, this key area of resistance, then there is a possibility of seeing this one pushing further up. But given that it kind of struggled to move around this 200 EMA, I mean, we could see this one a little bit retracing a little bit back down, which happened, and now we can see that this level here, this breakout point, is kind of acting as a nice area of support right now. So in a way, we were still kind of looking towards the upside. The only thing is that given that it's kind of slightly struggling to push further up here, we'll wait for another clear break here before examining higher levels. So in a way, what we could do here is now shift our breakout point to here, and aim for basically we need to see a clear break above the 11,990 zone before kind of aiming for higher levels. So for now, like I said, we're going to be very careful, because as you can see, it did break this 11,865 zone, but kind of is struggling to push above the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. So that's why we're gonna wait for a nice good clear break above the 11,990. This way the index would confirm a forthcoming higher high, and we could target areas like the 12,035 zone, which acted as a good area of resistance here back on the 2nd of August. But if that fails to withhold, then there's a bunch of good other potential areas of resistance that could be met, one of which could be around the 12,115, or the slightly even better one, the 12,255.50 zone, approximately around here near the highest point of August. So keep your eyes on this one. But again, like I said, I'll repeat myself, initially before examining these higher levels, ideally we would like to see a break above the 11,990 zone. Of course, in a way you could also round it up towards the psychological 12,000 level, but like I said, we'll start looking at higher levels if we get a push above the 11,990. In terms of the downside, if this suddenly drops back below the 11,865.60 zone, this could in a way increase the chances for a further move lower. The only thing is that this is where you need to be a little bit careful, because if this drops below the below this 11,865 zone, but remains above this a bit of a tentative but still nevertheless an important one upside support line, then we could see this one curving up and maybe moving to the upside again, and maybe we could see something of an ascending triangle forming here. So that's why, guys, for now we're going to keep it very short and simple. We're going to be very careful here, and if we see a drop below the 11,865, yes, it could increase the chances for a move lower. The only thing is that we'll be very careful here near this upside support line. If it holds, we could see this one rebounding and pushing maybe back to the upside here, and like I said, forming something of an ascending triangle here. But if this upside line fails to withhold, now this is where it could become a little bit more exciting for some of these sellers here, and we could then target the area near the 11,550 zone. So keep your eyes on that one. As you can see, it previously acted as a fantastic area of support. Jumping into another index very quickly here, so that's the S&P 500. As you can see, the index continues to trade within this range, so we can actually get rid of this downside line. Is no longer kind of valid because initially we were looking at that one, but what we could do here right now is monitor some of these key areas of support and resistance. So as you can see on Friday, as we know that yesterday the index and the US indices were closed, but on Friday the index closed near the 2,925 area, approximately around there, basically looking at the cash index right now and where the index is set at this point in time, where the cash index is set at this point in time, it is currently near, just slightly above the psychological 2,900 level. So in a way, it's somewhere around here basically. So of course, for now, and as long as it kind of remains trading in this inside this range, roughly between the 2,820 zone and the 2,944 zone, in between here, until it's stuck here, then yep, we will remain neutral. But if you want to try to find and capture some sort of a swing inside this range, given that it's a bit of a wide one, let's put it that way, so if we see a drop below the 2,894 zone, approximately around here, this would also place the index below the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart here on TradingView, and then yep, we could see this one sliding maybe towards the lower side of this range. But again, until then, until it's kind of going to be hanging around here, we're going to be still neutral, and especially even from the shorter term perspective, for us to start examining higher levels, well, to be honest, ideally we would like to see a break above the upper side of this range near the 2,944, and only then we'll consider higher levels. Until then, we're gonna kind of exclude the upside here. We're gonna see how it performs inside this range, but like as I said, if we're gonna get a nice good break above this upper side of the range, then we could even consider a possible move towards the psychological 3,000 level again, because last time it got tested here around the 31st of July. So keep your eyes on this one. And like I said, in terms of the downside, a drop below the 2,894 zone could in a way lead the index a little bit lower here, maybe even towards the lower side of the range here. Jumping into a few pairs, I've talked about this one, these recently, and or to be more precise, today and yesterday. USDCAD. Now this is what I was talking about. Basically, in order to consider higher levels, ideally we need to see another good move here above this 1.3345. But what I was also saying, we need to see at least this morning, what I was saying, by the way, not only that we need to see a nice good daily candle close here above this 1.3345, but also it would be nice to see a 4-hour candle closing above this, and this is what we got already. So in a way, this increases the chances for this pair to kind of continue pushing higher. Of course, it will be very interesting to see where the daily candle is going to close, because if it stays above this 1.3345, then, well, I mean, we could see something like this happening here, where maybe we could see the pair drifting back down, maybe testing the 1.3345 and rebounding from it and pushing to the upside again. So for now, of course, looking at this picture from the technical side, we can see that yes, so far everything's looking good here for USDCAD. We could see this one pushing further up here. I previously talked about the 1.3433 zone as being the next good potential area of resistance, but to be honest, what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna put a little bit of a conservative approach here a little bit, because initially I'm going to target this little intraday swing low here, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart. So that's near the 1.3387, and I do understand that we already almost managed to reach that, but given the situation right now, again, like I said, for now we're going to be very careful with this one. Initially I'm going to target this 1.3387. If this gets easily broken, then yep, this is where I will target the 1.3433, and we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do after. But again, the main question here is right now, will today's daily candle close above this 1.3345, or actually will it get back below this and remain below the 1.3345 zone? So this is going to be very interesting to watch. So far it's sitting above it. Of course, this is kind of creating this nice somewhat of a bullish atmosphere here. But if this suddenly, like I said, drops back inside this range again, then we'll be very careful with this one. And like I said, don't forget that tomorrow we could see more activity here in the in this pair, given that we do have the Bank of Canada report on the interest rate. So keep your eyes on this one. If this, like I said, travels back inside this range, this is where we will remain somewhat a little bit neutral. But from the very short-term perspective, if we see a drop below the 1.3310, we will consider slightly lower areas, but initially we'll target only the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, and then we'll take it from there, see what he wants to do after. USDCHF also working out nicely, the way as I've mentioned, as I talked this morning as well. So basically it got held here near this near the upper side of this rising channel and traveled lower, but it's still kind of trading above this upside support line. If it continues to do that, we could see this one curving up and pushing back towards the upper side of the of this rising channel formation. But if this upside line gets broken and we see a rate drop below the 0.9877, then well, we could examine a possible move towards the initially towards the 0.9794 area, which acted as a fantastic area of support here back on the 29th of August, or even it could travel all the way towards the lower side of this rising channel. But for now, until it's kind of trading, as long as it remains trading above this upside line, we will continue somewhat positive, and we'll aim for the upper bound of the rising channel again. So that's why, guys, for now, keep your eyes on this upside line. If we see a nice rebound, then we'll aim for another push higher here. GBPUSD, of course, the main focus here is on the British pound, and we understand why. I mean, there's a lot of political developments happening, and especially be very careful tonight around the 17:30 GMT. We do have the British Parliament voting again on and discussing the no deal Brexit option, so we could see a few good moves here again, but again, like I said, be very careful. It could be very volatile, and that's why have your stop loss in place, guys, just to be on the safe side. So for now, of course, you can see that this morning, after kind of I talked about GBPUSD this morning, it traveled lower. It actually almost managed to test one of my targets here near the 1.1950, almost managed to reach that, but quickly the bulls were quick to kind of recover here and push the pair back to the upside. So this is what I was talking about that potential, seeing that potential correction before another leg of selling. So you can see that yes, it did recover nicely. It traveled even all the way here towards the 1.2063 and slightly above it, but it was the bears again were quick to jump in here and push this one to the downside. So still we're more bearish on this one than bullish, even though we could see maybe this one pushing a little bit higher again, but this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the sellers if this gets a hold up again near the 1.2060, 65, 1.5 zone, then we could see another round of selling, maybe dropping back below the the psychological 1.20 zone and testing the 1.1950 or even below that. But again, for now, be very careful, guys. Be very be very careful. That's probably the only word that I can use right now, because as you can see also, the rate on one hand, yes, we do have that bearishness kind of in the air right now, but you can see that the rate is currently still balancing above its previous August low, or should I say actually the August low, and it's currently balancing above this. So in a way, if it stays above here, then yes, we could see this one pushing a little bit higher here, but again, we cannot really talk about a larger correction until we see a push back above the 1.2106 zone, approximately around here. If we do get a push above this, then yep, we will aim for this downside resistance line taken from the high of May this year. But until then, kind of, it's very tricky, it's very difficult. So that's why continue monitoring the August low, which is near the 1.2013 zone. If it continues to trade above this level, we could see this one pushing back up here a little bit higher, but again, we will consider a larger correction only if we see a push above the 1.2106. Anything up until then kind of could be seen as a nice area for the bears to step in and drive this one back to the downside. So that's why I cannot stress this enough. Be very careful here, guys, and keep an eye on the price action, and always have your stop loss in place. GBPJPY, another interesting one. So I don't have any markings yet, but I just wanted to kind of do this with you guys very quickly. So basically, first of all, of course, you can see that the today the pair managed to drop towards its August lows, and that was near the 126.52. It almost managed to reach that level. And the bulls were quick kind of to jump in and push this one back to the upside here. So for now, what we've got here ourselves is a strong area of support near the 126.52. We need to see a nice good drop below this before examining further declines, because a drop below the 126.52 could or should I say would confirm a forthcoming lower low, and we could then target lower areas. Until then, kind of we're going to be very careful here, because on one hand, yes, we could see some more kind of correction to the upside, but to be honest, we are stuck here below some downside lines here, and one of which, and let me just quickly put this one on the chart, is is this one here. Sorry, it didn't capture the peak. Let me just quickly draw this one, guys. So and there we go. So come on, there we go. So this downside resistance line is kind of still in play, and it's still kind of something that we're keeping a close eye on. So in a way, if of course any move higher here towards that line, towards this downside resistance line, will be seen as a kind of temporary correction, but if we get a break above this downside line and a push above the 200 EMA, now this is where it could become exciting again for the buyers, for the bulls, and we could then target higher levels. But kind of until then, any kind of move higher here could be seen as a larger correction before another leg of selling. For those who are, like I said, for those who are more on the cautious side, what you could do here is just wait this one out and wait until we see a drop below the 126.52, and only then target further declines. So that's why be very careful here, guys. There's a very interesting level here that we're keeping a close eye on, which is around here, near the 128.1315, approximately around there, because as you can see, this was the kind of the level that kind of held this little spike that we had after this morning's decline. So this was the area that held. So in a way, if we see a push above this 128.15 zone, then you could in a way start looking at maybe a larger correction here towards this downside resistance line that I've just mentioned, and then we'll take it from there. Then we'll see what it wants to do after. But again, like I said, this is something to keep an eye on, especially today, and be very careful tonight, because like I said, we do have some developments and some activity in the UK Parliament tonight, let's put it that way. And this could affect all the British pound pairs. So yeah, be safe, guys. Have your stop loss in place, and I hope you found this video useful. If you want to join me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, and that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, I hope you have a beautiful evening, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.